Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. But first things, I want to make this an announcement for this particular episode. There'll be no news updates for today because this one is going to be awesome because we have four reviews. The first one is from MLW. Now, it's been a while since I actually did a review, and this is from the much recent event, Summer of the Beast. This one, of course, features championship matches such as, of course, the MLW World Tag Team belts, the MLW National Openweight Championship, and the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. That particular match, the World Heavyweight title will be defended. Matt Riddle defends it against, of course, Kenta, which is going to be a banger of a match. And then we move on with TNA. As you all probably know already by now, we are now on the road to Slammiversary. So battle lines are being drawn for that. But the main event features, of course, is a street fight between Mike Santana and AJ Francis. This is a match that Mike Santana has been looking forward to it to get even at AJ Francis from costing him the TNA World title against Trick Williams. So that's going to be a very interesting match to watch. And then we move on, of course, with Ring of Honor with Global Wars Mexico. As you all probably know, last week AEW made a pit stop, of course, in Mexico at the Arena Mexico, collaborating with, of course, with CML Talent. And now we get to see what really took place during their shows. It only features, of course, a proving ground match, the world title, and of course we do have a women's tag team match. But the main event features Lee Moriarty of the Shane Taylor's Promotions taking on the man, the myth, the legend, Blue Panther. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then finally, I did mention in the last episode that AEW Collision will not be on this Saturday. This is it. So it's going to be on this episode. So as you know, we're also on the road to All In. So a lot of things are going to be taking place. So we'll see what happens with all four reviews from A to Z. So let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us, so click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or nice comments in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's get moving. So let's begin with our first review, and this is from Major League Wrestling, MLW's Summer of the Beast. Alright, MLW, Summer of the Beast. Wow, it's been a while. I should be doing this more often now with MLW since they only do one show a month. But we'll see. So let's move on. Now, this is their much recent show, Summer of the Beast. It opened up, of course, with a little bit of a propaganda with Mads Kruger. Now, for those who are not familiarized with him, Mads Kruger is the leader of what used to be now known as Contra Unit, a faction that terrorized MLW for throughout a year and including during the pandemic days, and they held the MLW World Heavyweight title hostage. Now, the original leader was Samael, who no one's seen yet in years. Mads Kruger took over as the leader, and now he is determined to gain the MLW World Heavyweight title in his possession. And of course, he mentioned about, of course, Contra Unit now needing more soldiers. So basically, we could see things growing with them. But the real question is, will he make a move against Matt Riddle? That is something we will will observe from there. Now, our first match, we have, of course, the MLW World Tag Team belt on the line. The champions, Los Desprendadores, consisting of Rugido and Magnus, defend them against Skyscraper, Donovan Dijak, and Bishop Dyer, two formerly WWE superstars many of you know. Bishop Dyer, formerly known as Baron Corbin, and Donovan Dijak, who many of you remember him as Dominik Dijakovic, or just simply Dijak. So yes, they're together as a tag team known as the Skyscrapers, and they're managed by a guy named Mr. Saint Laurent, who is basically trying to control MLW in his vision. And of course, you would think that Los Depredadores will do whatever it takes to hold on to the titles. But however, when it comes to Dijak and Bishop, they are in fact a unit that are willing to do whatever it takes, even go through anybody. And that's exactly what they did. It was, of course, Dijak who applied a moonsault onto Rugido. And just like that, brand new tag team champions. 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next match, we have Brock Anderson versus Anthony Green. Now, of course, Brock Anderson, many of you know who he is. He is the son of the legendary Four Horsemen, Arn Anderson. And as you many may not know this, I was kind of never mentioned this. Brock Anderson, along with his cousin, they C.W. Anderson, they form the Rogue Horsemen, kind of like a new version of the Four Horsemen, but much better. Seems that Brock Anderson is no longer part of that group due to him and another dude getting into each other's faces. But he faced the guy, Anthony Green. Many of you may remember him when he was in NXT, and not to mention his time in Noah. Basically, this match, nothing too special, but it does tell the story about Brock Anderson now trying to move up ahead about what he is planning to do. And of course, he did defeat Anthony Green with a DDT, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, Selena De La Renta, along with her dad, Cesar Duran, were just minding their own business in the back until Templario is demanding a match against Hikaru Kwan, who in fact stole the MLW middleweight championship. Now, many of you may question why. Well, the last champion was Mystico, but due to the fact that Mystico got injured during that time, he was set to relinquish the belt. However, Hikaru Kwan decided to steal it and declared himself as the champion, which he's not. But of course, he's asking for Cesar Duran and Selena De La Renta that, why do you deserve it? So he said that he will do whatever it takes to win it, even mess up Kwan. And of course, they know that he can do it, so we'll see what happens till then. Now, our next match, this one is a very interesting one called the Battle of the Idols. We have two Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling's talent. The first one, we have Wakana Uehara and, of course, Yuki Kamifuku. Now, many of you know these two ladies are part of the promotion in Japan, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, and not to mention these two were tag team partners. Now they face off each other, and it's interesting to see that happening. I have to say, Wakana, she has grown up, and she, in my opinion, is a rising star in the making, and I can tell that she will do great things. But when it comes to Yuki Kamifuku, 1, she's tall, 2, beautiful, 3, she has 8 years of experience more than Wakana, and that plays out too. But it was a single leg lariat instead of using the infamous Famous Sir onto her was the real result that allowed her to pick up the win against Wakana. However, during the post-match, she was was visited by Shotzi. It seems Shotzi has her eyes set on her, knowing that they could do some great things together. However, Shotzi was interrupted by Ava Everett, who seems like she wants to start something. But however, Selena De La Renta decided that, since there's tensions between Shotzi and Ava Everett, decided to declare that why not? Let's have these two face off in next month's event called Blood and Thunders on August 9th. And that's going to be something that will be happening. So can't wait to see what happens. Now we move on to our next match. We have Diego Hill versus Kushida. I have to say, what an amazing match. I mean, Kushida, we all know his reputation. One of the best junior heavyweight competitors in the world. You probably would think, yes, he had this upper hand. But Diego Hill, I have to say, he stepped up his game. He knows he's not facing a slouch. He knows he's not facing some arrogant prick. He's facing one of the best junior heavyweight competitors. And that's exactly what he did. However, Kushida applied, of course, not one, but two attempts for, of course, the Back to the Future. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, during the post-match, Cesar Duran made a very interesting visit. And, of course, Kushida, who doesn't have a problem with Cesar Duran, he just told him, okay, I'll be making my way out. You do what you need to do. So Cesar Duran had his sights set on Diego Hill, telling him that he saw what he saw in him, and he felt like, I'm not going to wait any longer. So he told him that he was willing to sign him to MLW. So he signed the contract right there on the spot. So that is something we definitely would see. Now, before our semi-main event, which is our next championship match, we had a visit from, of course, the former MLW World Middleweight Champion, Mystico. He was about to talk until out of nowhere, Contra's unit known as the Sentai Death Squad attacked him. However, he actually stood up against them. But however, out of nowhere, another Sentai showed up and attacked him. And then later, all of a sudden, the biggest shocker of them all, MJF showed up. Now, let's pause here for a little bit. Some of you may question, but however, some of you may say when you hear this coming from me, that MJF showed up in MLW, you're probably saying, what? Yeah. Now, for those who don't know, MJF, before AEW, he was in fact with MLW, along with Richard Holiday and Alex Hammerstone. And I forgot what they called themselves, but however, that's what happened. But the way I see it in this way, it's like more like MJF is trying to prove his point in the story wise, saying that, hey, Mystico, your country sucks, your promotion is BS, all that stuff. He's trying to prove that he is better than all of them. And I'm sure he's going to say the same thing about CMLW, saying that they're nothing but a independent promotion, just like he said about New Japan. But I think there are other people that a small number of people may say this, and I'm not sure it could happen. Some of you could say, is there a possibility we could see like a somewhat of a partnership with MLW and the AEW? I mean, it could happen, but I don't know. That depends if they can make it work. That's the thing. We know that AEW tried the partnership with TNA. Some people say it was a failure. Scott D'Amore thinks it worked well enough, but who knows? I mean, we know that MJF does have a relationship with those guys in that, so, but we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but we'll follow along. Now, moving on. Our next match is the MLW National Openweight Championship in a three-way. We have Matthew Justice versus Alex Hammerstone versus the current champion, Ultimo Guerrero. So, basically, as you probably know this or not, Alex Hammerstone was the first ever inaugural National Openweight Champion. And here's the kicker about why he pursued this belt. The reason he pursued it is this. He never lost the belt. He relinquished it. If you guys may or may not remember history. Now, for those who don't know, I'll explain it right now. Alex Hammerstone won the MLW World title. So he felt that now that he has that title, he's like, look, I can drop this and focus on this one. So that was the whole point. So basically, he is the kind of guy who is saying, I never lost the belt. So you can say that. However, when it comes to three-ways, it's a bit more tricky. But in the end, it was, of course, Ultimo Guerrero with the Guerrero special onto Matthew Justice. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, Alex Hammerstone, who was not pinned, who neither lost or won this match, he still has his sights set on the title. But, however, he felt the only reason this mess happened was because of Matthew Justice, who got in his way. So you can tell that this is going to be a feud about them. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So I can't wait to see it. I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a match between them at Blood and Thunder and in August. So that is something we could definitely see. Now our main event is the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. Bro, Matt Riddle defends it against Kenta. So you know this is going to be a balls to the walls type of match. I mean, you look at a former MMA fighter. You got a versus a striker, a man who, as you know, has been part of Pro Wrestling Noah from day one, who has been winning championships and all that. But the real question is who will walk on top. I'm sure Kenta would do whatever it takes to put down Matt Riddle, but in the end, it was the Bro Stone by, of course, Matt Riddle that allowed him to retain the belt. 1, 2, 3, it was over. But of course, you know, Matt Riddle decided to show the sign of respect to Kenta, and Kenta bowed down alongside with them, showing each other respect. And of course, Matt Riddle's tag team partner, part of the Filthy Bros, Tom Lawler, decided to show up and celebrate with his tag partner. So it was a lot of fun. So I can't wait to see the next event. I'm sure many of you may want to see more of this. So I'll do my best to do that too. So we'll see. But as of right now, we'll end things here with MLW and move on with TNA. Alright, TNA. As you all know, we are on the road to Slammiversary. We opened up with Joe Hendry applying a promo. Talked about, of course, his return from his seclusion right after losing the TNA World title to Trick Williams. Now, of course, Joe Hendry was telling how people would have just told him, pack a bag and leave, never come back, like shaming him for losing the belt. But, of course, he refused to quit. So he made a vow that in Slammiversary, he will win back the belt. So we'll see what happens when we get there. Now, we did see a bit of a video promo with Killer Kelly talking about Masha. As you all know, we haven't seen Killer Kelly for almost a year or so. And now she's back, and it appears that she is been watching Masha Slamovich about certain things from their past. You know, you got to remember, these two started out as rivals and then tag partners. And now things have changed. Now she is gunning for Masha and her title that will take place at Slammiversary. So we will see what happens till then. Now, you can see this as a preview match for the upcoming TNA World Tag Team titles. Zachary Wentz of the Rascals takes on, he is Nick Mannett's brother. The end. Yep. So he faces against Ryan Mennett. Now, of course, you probably would think there's going to be interference coming from Nick, and probably so. But Zachary Wentz was able to overcome it because, of course, Ryan Mennett, frustrated, decided to use the belt. Thank God for the referee for removing it, but that gives enough time for Zachary Wentz to apply a spiral tap, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. Now remember, the TNA World Tag Team belts will be on the line in Slammiversary in a ladder match in a 4-way. Of course, we got the Rascals, the Mennett brothers, members of the Northern Armory, Judas Icarus and Travis Williams, and then of course, did I say the Mennett brothers? Yeah. Well, I'll get back to, and the Hardys, of course, yes. So we'll get that. Now, we did see Trick Williams' interview with Gia Miller, talked about the Slammiversary, but of course, Trick Williams is 100% confident and of course believes that he will walk out still as the TNA World Champion. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, Gia also talked to Masha Slamovich about Killer Kelly and all that. So she was about to give her thoughts about this until Ariana Grace said to her that she had something cooked up. Now, don't forget, Ariana Grace is the liaison between both TNA and NXT. And of course, Masha, well, she said, bring it on. So we weren't too sure what was going to happen. Now, our next match is a knockouts battle royale. Whoever walks out will face the winner between Masha and Killer Kelly after Slammiversary. So we had tons of wrestlers. We have all three members of the Elegance brands, Danny Luna, Jody Threat, who else? The Inspirations, and a few others. However, the biggest twist is how this ended. Ash by Elegance won this match because she was not eliminated. She got pushed down underneath the ring, and that bothered her some time. And of course, she thought she had this under control. And of course, Masha was about to appear to get in her face until we had the surprise exactly what Ariana Grace was talking about. Apparently, well, it turned out to be the current NXT Women's Champion, Jay-Z Jane, and this put Ash by Elegance in a fit. You see, Ash does not like people to rain on her parade, and this is one of them. So, but Masha loves what she's seeing. And this, of course, is going to cause a problem. I'm sure that little chihuahua is going to complain like a little bitch about it, but we'll see. So, we'll stay tuned for more on that. Now, Jake Something, as you know, has been out. However, he did talk about Tommy Dreamer, as you know, who's been keeping an eye on him, checking up on him, how's he doing. But the one thing that Jake Something couldn't stand is the fact that Mance Warner attacked Tommy Dreamer for no apparent reason. And now he's going to deal with them. But however, he did state it, once he's done with Mance Warner, he'll be gunning for the TNA International Championship. And of course, Steve Maclin showed up. Welcome back. I'll be waiting. So basically, Steve Maclin, he has no problem with Jake Something, but he's looking forward to the battle. Now, our next match is what we call the Call to Arms match between Mustafa Ali and John Schuyler. Now, as you all know, there's been recent developments with the Order of Four, with Mustafa Ali, Tasha Steelz, Jason Hotch, and what's his name, John Schuyler. Mustafa Ali has not been himself ever since he lost to Mike Santana, and he's been going on a rampage, and now things have been gone too far. However, of course, this match ended with Mustafa Ali defeating John Schuyler with a 450, and then of course all hell broke loose. Mustafa Ali completely lost it, attacked both Schuyler and Jason Hodge. Tasha Steelz tried to stop him when he was about to whack him with the chair, but Mustafa Ali decided to gun, of course, Tasha with the steel until a ghost from Mustafa Ali's past showed up. And this ghost is Cedric Alexander, who is a friend of Mustafa Ali from back in the day. And the real question, I think Tom, one of the ring commentators, asked Matthew Renroll, was he the one that Tasha's been on the phone with? Most likely it could be. I mean, we don't know. We know that, you know, they had a great friendship in the past. But of course, Mustafa was not having this, and he was about to take Tasha Steelz out, but Cedric Alexander grabbed her. And then, of course, Jason Hotch, John Schuyler, and Tasha stood right next to Cedric Alexander. It may look like that they had enough of Mustafa Ali. But the real question is, what happens here? Well, that's something we probably will see at some point. So stay tuned for that. Now, of course, once again, the system, as you know, proclaimed that they are going to be victorious in their upcoming matches. Not to mention, Moose will be defending the X Division Championship against Leon Slater. And then, of course, they were interrupted by Matt Cardona, who still had some unfinished business with them. So we'll see what happens until then. Our next match, we have the members of the Northern Armory, Travis Williams and Judas Icarus, taking on the Hardys. Now, of course, these two teams will be part of the four-way ladder match for the TNA World Tag Team titles. Now, Eric Young, of course, tried to was getting involved too many times until he got caught and then ejected. It took security to clear him out, but of course, there was a good moment where Williams miscue on Icarus, but in the end, it was, of course, Jeff Hardy with a swanton bomb that put away Judas Icarus, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, the Hardys get the momentum heading to Slammiversary. But in the post-match, we did see, of course, Leon Slater, as you know, is the number one contender to challenge Moose for the X Division title. However, of course, Leon Slater, who grew up watching the Hardys told him that they believe that he will walk out, and they know it, they feel it, that this will be his time, because of course Leon Slater did mention he wants to be the youngest X Division champion, passing, of course, the Amazing Red, who was officially the youngest X Division champion in his time. So hopefully he does fulfill that dream. Now, we did see Moose in a three-way match against a guys named Jake Painter and Shane Saber. I can tell you this match ended with, of course, with Moose when he speared, who was it he speared? Oh yeah, Painter, and just like that, it was over, and then Leon Slater got in his face. So you can tell tensions are high for the upcoming Slammiversary show, so we'll see what happens until then. Now, our main event is the street fight. AJ Francis of the First Class taking on Mike Santana. This is revenge for what AJ Francis did, costing Mike Santana the shot of the TNA World title that he cost him in NXT. And this time, Santana will make sure he pays everything in full. Now, however, of course, we know that Casey Navarro was going to be involved, but he wasn't the only one. So was, of course, Trick Williams. But Joe Hendry took care of business, and just like that, it was over. But the one thing that was interesting is AJ Francis attempting to apply a move that has been synonymized in TNA history. We're talking about the Styles Clash, a move that's been done by AJ Styles. He thought that was done, but, however, Mike Santana kicked out. Nobody expected that. And then, of course, Mike Santana whacked AJ Francis with a glass champagne bottle, and then spin the block. 1, 2, 3. He wins. He gets his payback. But it wasn't over yet. Before the end of the programming, he declared himself, let's make this match into a three-way. The TNA World title, Trick Williams, Joe Hendry himself, and he's telling Santino Marella, make it happen. I'm sure Trick Williams was not going to be happy. Joe Hendry, I don't think he has a problem with it. But we'll see exactly next week what the Director of Authority will do. I'm sure this is going to be interesting to see. So we'll see where this leads us. But as of right now, we are done with TNA. Let's move on with Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor, Global Wars Mexico. Now, this took place on the week, of course, when AEW were in Mexico City at Arena Mexico, collaborating with a CMLL in their legendary arena. Now, many of you may ask who will be appearing. Well, we'll get to all of it. Now, there are some things that they added that would, since, of course, this was pre-taped a week earlier, just to be added, that I'll put out eventually. Now, our first match, we have a women's tag team match. We had the current ROH Women's World Television Champion, Red Velvet, teaming up with the current ROH Women's World Champion, Athena. They take on Persephone and Thunder Rosa. Now, as you all know, Thunder Rosa has made a play for the Ring of Honor World Women's Championship, so you probably can guess how that's going to be. Now, of course, Athena, who has been trying to prove her point that she is the dominating female wrestler in the world, well, she has to go through Thunder Rosa to do so. But however, in the end, of course, it was Thunder Rosa with a cradle onto Red Velvet, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Our next match is a proving ground match for the ROH World Television title. Now, this is not a title match. You only have 10 minutes in order. If you survive it, you get a title shot. Now, as you all may know, Titan defeated Nick Wayne in his final match in New Japan's Best of the Super Junior. However, Nick Wayne did everything humanly possible to get payback for that loss, and eventually he failed miserably. However, of course, Titan did not give up no matter the cost. But of course, the match was over after the 10-minute time limit draw was over. And just like that, Nick Wayne thought in a way he's safe, but he forgets. Titan gets a title shot no matter what. He can hide and run from all he wants, but no matter what, Titan will get his title shot. He earned it because he stood 10 minutes in the ring with him. Now, of course, Christian will definitely try to prevent it, but rules are rules. That's how it works. Our next match is the ROH World Championship. We have Máscara Dorada taking on everybody's favorite bandit, Bandito. Now, this match was amazing. I have to say, dead right. I mean, a lot of high spots, a lot of good moments. And of course, we did see Bandito attempting to apply the 21 plex in order to pick up the win. But of course, many of Máscara Dorada's, of course, finishers, somehow Bandito was able to kick out. But in the end, of course, it was Bandito that walked away with the win with the 21 plex. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, he retained the belt. And of course, he did mention in the post-match that Bandito said that he'll talk to Tony Khan and ask him if it's okay to have Máscara Dorada become a dual wrestler, showing up not only wrestling for CMLL, but also in AEW. So we'll see if that comes around. Now, we did see a bit of a video promo. Rocky Romero, as you all know, has some issues towards Bandito, and apparently the Don Callis family has been dealing with them. And now it seems that Rocky Romero has declared their claim for the ROH World title at Supercard of Honor. And of course, Konosuke Takeshita will be that person to do that. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, we did see, of course, Layla Gray acting like she's some sort of general talking to Top Flight, because they're aiming for the ROH World Tag Team belts, but they have to go through a team, as you know, who are also making a play, and that is, of course, the Infantry, Carly Bravo and the Captain Sean Dean. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have Lee Moriarty taking on Blue Panther. Now, this is a dream match that Lee Moriarty has always dreamed of because, of course, if you're a technical wrestler and you know guys like Blue Panther, who is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, you want to have a match against him. But man, he took every punch, everything. But in the end, of course, it was an arm, some sort of Fujiwara armbar by Black Panther onto Lee Moriarty. And just like that, Lee Moriarty had no choice but, of course, to tap. But, of course, when the old saying goes, a loser cannot stand a dang winner. Well, of course, Shane Taylor and, of course, the Infantry attacked Blue Panther until they heard dun 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 dun. Yes, yes, yes. That's right. You know who that is. You know who actually had that song. We're talking about, of course, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and he took care of business, but he didn't come alone. He brought Hologram, Máscara Dorada, and of course, Blue Panther Jr., and they took out the Infantry. But Bryan Danielson, of course, took care of Shane Taylor with the Busaiku knee, and just like that, it was over. And not to mention, he gave out a promo about how much he loves Mexico, how much he enjoys being there, and he said that he thanked the fans for allowing them to come into their house and put on a show. And of course, he can't wait to see them again. Now, pausing here for all of you, many of you may ask yourselves, if you guys remember this, I mentioned in a previous update on one of the episodes that Fightful Select was being told by various AEW talent that they believe that Bryan Danielson will return to wrestle again. Could this be that possibility? I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bryan Danielson decides to not get himself involved, but to be like the ghost of Christmas past to Jon Moxley at All In. That's something that would definitely be on my mind. I don't know. I'm just thinking here of if there's a possibility. I mean, what do you guys think? But if you guys think that's a possibility, leave a comment down below and you guys tell me. But as of right now, we are done with, of course, Ring of Honor. Let's move on with our last and final review, AEW Collision. Alright, our final review, AEW Collision. We had, of course, an in-stage interview with the Outrunners, meeting up with that bald-headed moron, Stokely Hathaway and FTR. As you know, in the past, FTR and the Outrunners used to be tight, but things have changed. And of course, FTR decided to insult them about the way they act, but of course, the Outrunners will not apologize for how they are, because they are who they are, no matter what they thought. So we'll see those two teams face off each other soon enough. Now, we'd see, of course, the Patriarchy, Nick Wayne and Christian Cage, taking on Brian Keith and Big Bill. Now, as you know, these two teams are gunning for the AEW World Tag Team titles. So basically, that's the end game. However, this was not declared as a number one contendership for that. But of course, you would think it should have been, but no. But of course, Christian's saying that he wants to make this more of a father and son thing. But in the end, it was, of course, a good cohesion between Nick and Christian. Christian took out Brian Keith with a spear, but that lead, of course, for Nick Wayne to apply a roundhouse kick, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, they win. However, we did see, of course, the Patriarchy celebrating the fact that they won. However, MVP decided to talk to Christian Cage and tells him, look, it's no secret about you, Christian. You are one of the best tag team champions of all time. But he doesn't think Nick Wayne is ready because, A, he's a kid. And of course, Christian decides to say you're nothing but a criminal. But the problem is, Christian Cage doesn't think MVP doesn't think Nick Wayne is going to be able to win. But Christian doesn't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. I mean, look, we know the Hurt Syndicate, they're all about hurting people. So, basically, we'll see what happens. Now, they have not declared themselves as the next challengers, but sooner or later, it could happen. So, we'll see. Now, Josh Alexander put out a video promo saying that he is gunning for Adam Cole, who he, of course, is the challenger for the TNT Championship, saying that he will destroy his ankle, the injured one that he had. So, we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have Templario and Brody King teaming up. They face Rocky Romero and Hechicero. Of course, you know how that's going to roll up from there. I mean, Rocky and Hechicero, members of the Don Callis family. Well, it was a pretty good match, but I have to say, Rocky Romero, being like the mice that he is, he ended up being gonzo bombed by Brody King, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, Mercedes Moné, as you know, is going to be dealing with Toni Storm at All In for the AEW World Champion. So this time, as you know, she feels like nothing is going to stop her to obtain what she has. Now, speaking of Toni Storm, her associate, Mina Shirakawa, will be facing Mercedes Moné this coming Wednesday at episode 300 for the TBS title. And Toni Storm, as you know, has been on edge, but she's concerned for the well-being of Mina Shirakawa. But Mina told her, no matter what happens, do not get involved, please. Now, Toni Storm, as much as she loves Mina, she's always will be concerned for her. So, we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have Megan Bayne taking on Britt Vixen. Well, you probably can guess this match. Well, Megan Bayne continues to show her dominance. She applied the face descent onto her, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, we did see, of course, Anthony Bowens on a video promo talk about that he is going to be part of the qualifying match for the Casino Gauntlet match this coming week. So this is going to be interesting because right now everybody wants to have a shot to become the next AEW World Champion Challenger. So we'll see where that goes to. Our next match, we have the TNT title, Josh Alexander versus Adam Cole. Now, of course, we know that Josh Alexander is very methodical about how to dismantle his opponent. That's exactly what he tried to do. But in the end, of course, it was, of course, Adam Cole with enough super kicks with the good kick, but also at the same time applying the boom out of to Josh Alexander, and just like that, he retained the championship. Now, Ricochet, as you know, after what he did in Dynamite, leaving AR Fox high and dry, he refuses to talk about it. Even AR Fox wanted answers, like what the hell was his problem? But out of nowhere, the Gates of Agony just showed up and took him out. And then, of course, Ricochet told them, let's have a talk. So most likely we could see the Gates of Agony becoming, of course, part of this newly faction that Ricochet is planning to form. So we'll see where that goes. Now, our next match, we have Sky Blue versus Queen Aminata. It's no secret these two have a very long history. But, of course, Queen Aminata has to keep an eye on Julian Hart, who is, in fact, on the outside watching this. But in the end, Queen Aminata took out Sky Blue with off with the head, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But however, out of nowhere, Tekla showed up and decided to attack Queen Aminata. This whole situation became a 3-on-1 scenario, and then of course we see Ty J showed up to help Queen Aminata, and then here comes Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. But what does this mean in general? Well, in general, these women will participate in the upcoming Women's Casino Gauntlet. They'll take place, of course, at All In, because someone wants to be the next challenger for the AEW Women's World title. So we'll stay close to that. Now, Daniel Garcia, as you know, was about to do an interview with Lex Senior until Rocky Romero, as you know, tried to tell him that his boss gave him a generous offer to join. But you know how Daniel Garcia with his issues towards Don Callis' family, but we'll see. Now, our next match, we have Kyle Fletcher versus Kyle O'Reilly. Yeah, we have two Kyles involved in this match. I mean, it was a fantastic match, not going to lie. It was a pretty good one until, of course, Lance Archer showed up to interfere, and then Kyle Fletcher applied a brainbuster, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then, of course, there was the beatdown onto O'Reilly until Roderick Strong, Adam Cole, and Garcia showed up. You can tell that this whole feud between Paragon and Garcia against Don Callis' family is far from over. We'll see what happens next week. So I think that's pretty much it. But also, as you all know, there is no news updates for today, so let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. I apologize for not throwing any news updates. Apparently there was nothing for me to update on, but hopefully the next episode will. Now, as for our next episode, I haven't decided yet. I do know there is a recent Stardom event taking place as well, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to watch it or not, but we'll see how things. I'll just hopefully wing it, but maybe consider just, of course, how do I say this? Just focus on the remaining of the Yoshi Wrestling events that I haven't fully reviewed yet. I'm still 2 shows behind with Sendai and a few others. We'll just wait and see. So I'm just gonna wing it as we go. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.